They do it. You don't know. I'm going to try my place. I've been probably great. Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing? You warm? You got some coffee or some juice? So we have a jam-packed agenda for you today. For those who don't know, my name is Sheree Johnson. I am the Manager of Program Operations and Quality with our Children's Services Division. We normally kick off our EDPD meetings with our Deputy Commissioner, who is in the building. But due to our jam-packed agenda, we're going to shake it up a little bit by presenting or having one of our fantastic partners come up and speak with you all, and then we'll dive back into the agenda. Okay? Anyone have any questions before we? I'm not even open for questions because I think this can be a whole. Nope. If you have any questions, write them down and we'll be back for that, okay? Because that's going to be a whole rabbit hole, so I shouldn't have said that. Okay? So please have some breakfast victuals, water, juice, and we will be back on the microphone shortly. Thank you. So though I am not the Deputy Commissioner, as the slide states, and I mentioned already, we have a jam-packed agenda, so we will hear from our presenters today. UIC Center for Literacy, Ms. Andrea Vaughn is in the building. We also will hear from Erickson Institute. So we have a full team from the Erickson team present today. We welcome you guys. We thank you. We thank you. And then we will also hear from our CPS subject matter expert who's on our team here at DFSS, Gina Casella. Here comes our deputy. Can we welcome her, please?
I'm only going to be up here 1 minute. Good morning. Happy pre-Friday. And happy almost 2025 over. I'm doing a celebration this year. Can't wait to, hey, we can find a big house and do this one after this year. I know I got a little one. That's why I was saying we got to find a bigger. But I am so happy to say 2025 is coming to a close. Not that 2026 is going to be better, but it's going to feel better that it's over. So how are we today? Good. Look at all these smiles. I am so glad to be here with smiley people. Everybody ain't smiling in Chicago. Everyone, we still have people arriving. So if you got something on the seat next to you, please remove it and raise your hand and let people know that there's some seats up front. There's seats up front, raise hands. We've got seats up front. People have moved their bags out of your way. So I know people don't like sitting in the front, but that's where the seats are. That's the instructor in me. I loved it when they come in and sit in the back and leave the front seats available. That's because I'm only going to teach to those seats. And I would sit down and talk. They started sitting in the front. All right, I'm going to do mine after the presentations are over. I'll come up after, but I wanted to say good morning. So happy to see all of you here. We're going to go ahead when Sheree comes back up to go ahead and get us started with our presentations. UIC Literacy is Andrea. Miss Andrea Vaughn, come on up. Here.
Hello, good morning. Can folks hear me? I'm sorry, this is. Okay. Can folks hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. It's so great to be here with all of you. My name is Andrea Vaughn, and I am from the UIC Center for Literacy. My colleague, Ms. Juanita Harris, right now is handing out folders. Juanita's making the rounds We have folders with our flyers in them. So as I'm talking, I'm going to be sharing about our programs. And this is for you to take home today so that you can take that with you. Okay. Who here has worked with Center for Literacy at all in the past? Who's had us for a workshop? Great. I see some hands. Thank you so much. It's so great to see you here today. So we've been around for more than 30 years, and we have offered direct services to families on the South and West sides. We work directly with the Head Start, early Head Start sites. And, you know, our mission is really to make sure that learners of all ages, especially families in Chicago, can live out their best lives. That's why we exist. There's a little bit of information here about us, but really key that I want to point out is that every year we serve more than 800 early learning families and providers. And if you have not worked with us before, we would love to work with you, maybe this year. So we have a variety of programs that I want to make you aware of. We do professional development work. So for folks who work in Chicago early learning settings, we have professional development opportunities that I'm going to share a little bit about that can be really beneficial to directors, to staff, and even to folks who are interested in becoming early childhood education professionals. We also have education for parents and families. So for the parents, for the caregivers who are connected to early learning sites, we have resources for those individuals to strengthen their families, to really kind of connect across what's happening at home and at school. And I'm going to share a little bit about that as well. And then kind of in addition to both of those things, services for providers and services for families, we have our Resource Center for Autism and Developmental Delays that I'll share a little bit more about. That's kind of broad ranging, serves a lot of different folks who have a child with a disability in their lives. So let me start by talking about our adult education, our family education services. We have a variety of ways to connect with us. Specifically, we have financial literacy workshops. So that is everything ranging from how to build a budget, how to understand your credit score, how to apply for the FAFSA. All that information is things that families need to know, and we provide workshops that cover a variety of those topics. We also have employment and career readiness workshops. So interview skills, developing a resume, looking for jobs. Those are things that we provide as well. And we also have family literacy workshops. So this is things that we feel, right, that like parents are their child's first teacher. They need to be involved in their child's education. And many of them need to just be empowered to know that they can step up and be in that role. So we teach workshops that are related to, you know, teaching the ABCs, how to have how to access the library, how to build a home library, how to read with your child, to kind of bridge across those early learning sites and what's happening in the home. The other thing that I want to point out here is for several years, our GED program was on hiatus, but we're proud to say that it's come back. So we do have GED available. So for parents who you're connected with, families who you're connected with in your work, if there's someone in that family who needs a GED, they can connect with us for those classes. And those are up and running, and we're just really excited and proud to bring that back. So it makes a really big difference for a family when someone gets a high school diploma. One kind of spotlight that I want to share is our 24/7 Dads program. So this is our fatherhood male involvement programming. We have staff who will go to a Head Start site and lead a cohort of fathers. And they cover topics of all kinds. Some are related to men's health, mental health. They also cover like co-parenting, relationship skills, parenting skills, discipline, reading with your child, things like that. But really the most important aspect of this work is that the dads really have a community together. They learn from each other, they lean on each other, and really kind of help to see that Head Start site, Chicago Early Learning site, as a place where fathers are welcome and wanted and empowered to really be part of their child's education. So if you're interested in bringing one of these cohorts to your site, this is something that we do, and it's really exciting work that really makes a big difference in a whole family's life. All right, I'm going to talk now about our Resource Center for Autism and Developmental Delays. Is there another slide here? No, go back. Sorry. Oh. Okay, so our Resource Center for Autism and Developmental Delays. We have a variety of ways to interact with us. One is that we just have workshops that happen throughout the year. that can be attended by parents and caregivers or early learning providers or educators of any kind can come to these workshops. They cover topics that are really nuts and bolts that could be like toilet training, right? Things that just families need. They need access to this information. We also have more broad-ranging topics related to just what is autism, understanding developmental disabilities, IEP and 504 advocacy. These, kind of different workshops that are available for either educators or families to take advantage of to understand how to support these children and really the families and caregivers in their lives. We also have our resource library. We have a physical lending library that's on our space on campus at UIC, and we have a virtual resource library as well. So that if there's an educator or a parent who needs some resource, they can tap into that, access the library, take that home with them, and use it in their child's life. So if you're interested in that, if you have folks in your network and in your work who have children with autism or other developmental disabilities, please get in touch because we have a lot of resources available. And then finally, I want to share about our professional development and family engagement team. This is our work that's really oriented to providers, to site directors, to the individuals who are working in early childhood education. We have a variety of kind of offerings under this umbrella. Some of these are just workshops that are for early childhood educators. Again, those can be really technical, right? Like case notes, how to strengthen your case notes. And they can also kind of be more broad ranging to thinking about mental health, wellness, avoiding burnout, these things that we know that early childhood professionals need. We also have some coaching and learning circles for folks who are interested in becoming early childhood educators. So we want to make sure, right, that we're supporting people to enter the profession. We know that we want this to be a really robust profession where the fully staffed up and a lot of folks who can contribute to young children's development. So if someone is interested in achieving their Gateway's credential, their first credential, we can work with them to, gain that credential and build up those skills, start, building along that pathway. So we offer that as well. Yeah, and we do some in-services as well. We'll come to a site and do some work there. So I think that was not my last slide. Oh, just want to share a little bit of our impact. So in this past year, so this is year to date, not yet the full year, but we have 72 emerging early learning professionals who are seeking their Gateway's credentialing, and some of them have already achieved that first credential and are moving forward. 112 current early learning professionals who are utilizing our professional development workshops. So those are folks who are coming to our workshops, getting that information, taking that back to their sites. 404 parents and caregivers have received family literacy, financial literacy, and/or employment training through our adult and family engagement workshops. We've had 3 cohorts of our 24/7 Dad's Fatherhood program. 391 parents and educators of children with autism or other developmental disabilities have come to our workshops, have come to our resource library, and we've served 33 CEL sites this year. So that may include some of you and the work that you do. If it doesn't include you, please get in touch. We'd love to work together. And in this folder that we passed out, you can find flyers and information related to everything I've talked about. If there's something that I haven't mentioned that you'd like to know more about, on this brochure that's included, and some of these brochures are in English and some are in Spanish, but on the back, each one has a QR code and our contact information. So if there's something I shared about today that you want to know more about, please do get in touch with us. We'd love to work with you and continue to expand our impact. Catherine, should I take any questions or should I pass it to the next speaker? Okay, 1 or 2 questions.
Yeah, that's the program.
Yeah, so we are grateful to be here today with DFSS, who is our primary funder and just a great supporter of our work for many years. We have a few other funders as well, but that allows us to make sure that all of our programs are totally free. So everything I shared with you today is free to families, free to sites, and available at no charge. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate the chance to speak with you today, and please get in touch if I can share notes. And it's so sensitive.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Zakia Gilliam, and I am co-presenting with my team member, Pamela Stutzman. We are consultants for Erickson Institute's Infant Toddler Inclusion Project. Our team provides disabilities and inclusion supports for birth to 3 early Head Start class program. I'm just going to introduce our team. We're representing 50% of the team today. We are a team of 4. So we have myself and Pamela. We also have Paulina Rosso and Latoya Williamson. And they also act as infant toddler inclusion consultants, providing, again, those disabilities and inclusion supports for your 0 to 3 classrooms at your EHS programs. And I'm going to turn it over and get Pamela to talk about what we do.
All right, good morning. So a little bit, so you can see some of the pictures of things that we've done over the past several years that we've been in our roles. And so and it just kind of explains kind of that visual representation of some of the opportunities that we take, which are a lot of professional development, both citywide and for the individual sites that we support, and then as well as participating in some community-based events, such as doing a resource table at a CFC event, and some, again, the citywide conference that we do as well. We have a good time doing it all. So we kind of broke it down into the 3 different areas: the DFSY services that we provide for our individual delegate agencies, and then in terms of the children and family that we're servicing. So really our big thing for DFSS and in general is that we provide year-round professional development. And our focus is on children suspected of or diagnosed with disabilities. But that, that also incorporates a lot of different terminology, and that our trainings are offered in both English and Spanish. And, we kind of do them both virtually. Sometimes we do them in person here, not in this room, but we'll also offer them in person. And then again, at our individual sites as well. And so we mentioned the community meetings and events that we do. Our attendance at Zakia's attendance at the CFC events, CFC meetings to keep updated on the information that's shared during those. We come to the quarterly health and safety advisory committee meetings, sharing the information and the impact that we have there. And then we also conduct monthly forums where representatives from the delegate agencies who have early Head Start funding can come, and we share information and resources and an opportunity for people to collaborate with each other. And then for those delegate agencies, again, we provide a wide range of support really based on what the needs of that individual agency and organization is. If you've had some staff turnover and change, we're there to support your new staff at various levels. And that professional development tailored to the needs of the agency. And then our collaboration is a lot with the disabilities service coordinator or the person who has that title. So, oftentimes that's maybe one of many roles that person may have, in addition to your family support workers, infant toddler specialists, and picture teachers as well. We've mentioned the different trainings that we have, the technical assistance, which is providing assistance for those referrals to early intervention, which we're going to talk a little bit more in just a couple of minutes. And then a lot of times we also do classroom observations. And I think this is something we all really enjoy because we love getting into the rooms and seeing the children. And then that's a nice support for your teachers of some of the things that, being able to highlight some of the great work that they're doing. And then also be able to provide some suggestions on additional support that they can provide for children in their room. And then we're really excited. And we actually just had our first group this week. We are starting reflective practice groups for both administrators, And then next week we're going to do our first one for teachers. And so again, we're the focus of our group because we are the disability needs for 0 to 3 is on, that topic of discussion around children with or suspected of disabilities, because we know and understand that just in general, this is a challenging job. And then when you're adding, some little ones with some challenging behaviors and struggle with development, there needs to be an outlet for that. And so we had our first meeting this week, and it went really well, got some really good positive feedback. So we're going to continue that once a month for administrators and then once a month for teachers as well. So we're really excited to keep expanding our roles and the offerings that we're able to provide. And then in terms of children and families, we do individual child observations. We help individualize those individual family service plans and, that collaboration during SRT meetings, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. And then our attendance at parent or family events and meetings, being able to share some of the information that is appropriate for families and stuff. And what's a lot. So this is just a list of the training topics. I'm not going to read this to you all, but it does really cover a wide range. We can help support doing trainings on the ASQ3s and ASQ SE2s, sensory play. So we've incorporated some and created some new trainings along the way as we've talked to staff and centers, things that are necessary and needed. And so the other one that we would like to highlight as well. So we've done, and we know and we appreciate, and we always put a shout out to ARCAD. We did create a basics to understanding autism, and it is super basic. And in it, I think we probably say at least 50 times. Please also reach out to ARCAD because we know they're a wonderful resource. But we know that we've had a lot of staff come to us asking questions, and so we wanted to share something as well. And the new training that we're working on this year as well is basics to understanding developmental delays and disorders. And we understand that people are looking for more information. This is based on feedback. And so we're continuing to grow that. And so again, we offer these trainings citywide, individual for sites. And then we know we can also adapt these trainings for families as well. For those family education meetings that you may have. So maybe we're coming in and we're paring this down to a half an hour, 40 minutes. Maybe we're doing a fact sheet, but understanding that that's also important. And sometimes it's helpful for families to hear it from someone outside of the agency and organization. So I think that's all. All right, why do we do what we do? I'm not going to read again. I know this is a lot. I'm trying to be thoughtful about the time that we have. So we have a total of 21 agencies and like 115 individual sites. Because we know several of our agencies are larger and have many of those partner organizations that you're working with. So this is the impact that we have. And we reach, like 600 teachers, 200 to 250 site directors, and it depends on the, how many sites there are. And so that doesn't just include site directors, but other, DSCs, education coordinators and such. And then we also kind of just gave breakdown of some of the trainings that we've provided like over the years. So the four of us have been in this role going into this is our 4th year. So this kind of just shows you the number of trainings yearly that we generally provide and the number of participants. So we're really happy with the impact that we've been able to make over the years. And so this 2025, so we started as the program year. This is from July 1st until now that we've had over 26 trainings reaching 350 participants. So we're really proud of the impact that we have for a small team of 4. So we're out there getting things done. At least we hope so. It makes us how it feels for us. And then the impact that we're having on the community and on the wider Chicago area. So that we reach over 2,200 children, which that estimated of like 3,600 families. And then we're working with those 4 CFCs that cover the city of Chicago. And then this is just the update so there are 3 different funding sources. Most of you understand this in the role that you are in, that you may have 1 or more of these fundings, early Head Start funding within your organization. And so this is just a breakdown of what that looks like. And as you can see, so for each of those three areas, that total disability, number of sites, at 10% or above, number of sites 10% and below, number of referrals, that is current as of yesterday morning. So there were a couple of sites that we haven't gotten reports in yet for this month, but just wanted to share, and that's a great thing. So in terms of early Head Start funding, they are looking at early Head Start guidance. They're looking at a disability rate that centers are providing support to at least 10% of the children in their centers have have a disability. And so as we can see across this board, all three early Head Start funding sites are at or above 10% this time of year, which is wonderful because oftentimes it doesn't happen this early in the year, just because of changeover in, children who have moved up to the Head Start programming, PFA programming, or even into CPS. So to have all three funding sites at or above 10% already is wonderful. So you should give yourself and your staff a round of applause for that. That's no easy feat. So we know that the children are out there in our community, but that being able to identify them and get those supports in place is not always the easiest thing. So wonderful. Right.
Now we're going to talk about intervening early, which is really one of the major purposes of our work in our team. And that is possible because we do have the CFC interagency agreement. And that agreement is really important to your sites and agencies and our team. It is agreement between the Chicago CFCs that serve the children and families in the city. So that would be CFC 8, 9, 10, and 11. DFSS and Start Early. And this agreement allows our Erickson team to act on behalf of the agencies and sites that we support to request important information. And that information includes IFSP reports, evaluation reports, information about the status of services, evaluation dates, the status of a referral, and then also, most importantly, that transition process where children are and families are within that transition process when children are aging out of EI and transitioning into CPS. And so this agreement really allows the maintenance of that communication between the CFCs, DFFS, and Start Early. And so that's really important, and we really value that partnership with them. We also think about understanding the importance of early intervention services. That's so key in the work that we do. When we go out to sites and talk to sites and staff, we talk about the importance of EI, why it is so critical that we intervene as early as possible. I think that there's a misconception sometimes that we want to give children a chance to get that catch up on. They're still young, they need time, but this is the optimal time to really intervene. That brain development is happening quickly. And so if we do intervene with supports and strategies and environments that can really help support development, especially if we do suspect a delay or we understand that there is a developmental difference, that ability to make that catch up happens so much faster, and they have better outcomes, especially when they are getting ready to transition into a school setting. Developmental screenings, we talk a lot about that. As Pam said, a lot of our trainings are focus on the ASQ3, which is looking at global development, and the ASQ SE2, where we're looking at that social and emotional development. And that is really, for some of our kiddos, that first line of understanding that there may be something going on where we need further information and further evaluation, and that can initiate that referral process. The screening review team meetings, we provide support around helping sites plan for that, because we know that sometimes these are going to be difficult conversations to have with families, especially if they're in a place where they weren't expecting this outcome, or they're not yet ready to accept that there could be something different in terms of their child's development. But we talk about what are the positives with this child and family? What are some things that we can highlight and kind of start that meeting with? And then how are we going to explain our concerns? What are some of those concrete examples that we can share about why we're concerned about this child's development and why it would be beneficial for a further evaluation? And then talking about those submitting referrals, those referrals to early intervention. It is a really simple process. It's not as intense as our CPS referral process. And so we do explain that this is something that is not hard to do. It's extremely accessible to children and families. You just have to provide that bridge for them to get there. And so sometimes it's just giving families information and education around why the program is important. And then we provide support around that timeline and follow-up, because it is a process that needs to move quickly, because our kiddos, they're aging every day. And so we know that that 0 to 3 time period can go by so quickly. So the quicker we intervene, the sooner we can get services on board and those supports in place. And then again, that transition process, just encouraging families to go through with that transition. Once we get them into EI, it can still feel really daunting to accept possibly transitioning into CPS and having their child evaluated for IEP eligibility. So that can be challenging for families. So giving them support around that, and again, highlighting the benefits of continuing that support if it's appropriate for their child. So thinking about early intervention, as many of you probably in this room already know, it's a statewide program and it's family centered. And I think that that is what is so important. That's what we really highlight when we have these meetings with families and staff, is really helping them understand that families are partners in the team when EI services are put in place. And they are part of creating that individualized family service plan. And they are very key and instrumental in determining what the goals are for their child. We're not only taking the information that's been formed by that evaluation and thinking about what are the developmental needs of the child, but thinking about what are the needs of that family? What routines need support? What types of activities are they experiencing challenges around? And I always share that those EI services, it's so wonderful that EI understands a natural environment is so much further beyond just the home, that environment includes our early learning centers. It also includes the community. Thinking about that parent who has to take their because they.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it?
That's the signal. Yeah.
Okay, because they don't have that childcare support. So that is where developmental therapists can come in, and they can go with that family, meet them at the grocery store, and figure out how can we make this trip less stressful for that parent and for that child? How can we make it a natural and fun learning experience? Because that is how our children learn, through their interactions, their experiences, and that goes far beyond just the classroom and just the home. So thinking that it's so important that families take advantage of that family-centered approach that EI takes, because they really do drive the goals that are formed for that child and what kind of experience and interventions are put in place. The referrals, the regional offices, those child and family connection centers, and again, that's CFCs 8, 9, 10, and 11 for Chicago. And those are the offices that we are communicating with and that you are referring your kiddos to when we do have concerns and needs for evaluation. Referrals can come from families. Many of you have had experiences where families come in at enrollment and state that they have concerns about their child's development. That referral can take place right then and there. We don't have to wait until we screen that child. If that family is having concerns, they can make that referral. You can do that with them by simply calling the CFC and letting them know, I have a parent here who has concerns about their child's development and we'd like to schedule an evaluation. But we also know that pediatricians are making referrals sometimes, which is extremely important. So sometimes families are coming in with that referral from the pediatrician or letting you know, my doctor wants my child to be evaluated. And then obviously the screenings that we are doing frequently, according to a child's age and the frequency. We're doing that throughout the program year for our little ones. And that is also initiating referrals. And it's so important that we do that as well. It's important to understand and explain to families, EI is voluntary, it's not mandated. And so families can decline, but we never give up. We continue to provide information for them. Sometimes that means we're taking those observations down, we're documenting, and we're letting them know, I understand that this is not where you're at, you're not ready, but these are some things that could be really helpful. So we're always encouraging them, but understanding and respecting that it is voluntary. The services are based on that comprehensive evaluation. So depending on where that child is demonstrating delays, that will determine what services they receive through early intervention. And then we know that there are 17 possible services through early intervention. So we're all really familiar with physical therapy, speech, and OT, and developmental therapy, but there's also oral rehabilitation services for our children who may have hearing impairments, vision services for children with vision differences and impairments. There's also social work, which is really important, connecting families to really critical community resources and support and other families that may be on a similar journey, so that they can build a sense of community. There's also infant and early childhood mental health consultation, which is really critical for that birth to 3 age period, because this is when attachment is developing. And so we're thinking about how do those relationships for children during this period of development form? What do those relationships look like? And if they do need support and help, that is available through EI. And then that IFSP, or that individualized family service plan, which is individual to each child. And that, and again, the needs for that specific child will guide the goals that are created for that plan. So for our EHS centers, the responsibilities that they have, we know that those developmental screenings at the beginning of the program year, they're happening, and they're happening by the first 45th day rather, from that child's first day in the program. But also knowing that, again, we are always looking and watching. So if we're in between screenings, but we notice concerns, that's definitely a reason to reach out and get support and think about initiating a referral. For our ASQ3, we know that can be done with the teacher and the family. Depending on the site, you may have the teacher doing one and the family doing one. But we know with our ASQ SC2, it's so important we have both the teacher doing a screening and the parent or that child's primary caregiver, because again, that's so important, that social emotional development. We are seeing a lot of concerns around that, and we know that children are different in different environments and different settings and with different caregivers. And then the results of those screenings guide the recommendations for referrals. So if we have a child that's demonstrating concerns for development, we are initiating referrals for that child. If we have a child that's in that monitoring phase, we're thinking about what are some supports we can put in place for that child, what are some things that we are recommending that the family does, and then we're coming back together to rescreen and see where things are at. And then for those kiddos that are developmentally on track and where we would expect them to be, we're then again rescreening them according to the frequency. Okay, and I'm going to let Pam just quickly talk to us about that timeline.
All right, so Zakia already had mentioned a bit about the timeline. So this is just that nice visual to kind of explain to you, like, why this is so such a quick turnaround once you know. So once these screenings are completed, excuse me, so across in the purple, you can see what the steps are, and then the time frame is down at the bottom. This is also going to make a little bit more sense. We have another form that a couple of slides that have forms that are going to show you, like, again, breaking down those steps. So you've completed those screenings, and you've as the teacher, you've notified whoever you're supposed to that you have concern, like, oh, these scores fell into that at-risk category, for this particular child or for these 2 or 3 children in my room, we need to get the ball rolling. And then you start talking to your disability service coordinator, family support worker, whoever you are internally, maybe somebody else has additional information about this family, and that all occurs within 5 days. So this is a quick turnaround, because as Zakia mentioned, our little ones, it seems like we have all the time in the world, but we don't. They, by 3 years old, they become Head Start, PFA, CPSs, they move into that category. So this happens really fast. And so, we've met with staff within those 5 days. And then we set up a screening review team meeting. That's the SRT meeting. I know we threw around some acronyms earlier, but that's what that's talking about. So you're bringing in that family to talk about, here are some of those, here are the results of those developmental screeners. Here is our recommendation. Because again, as we've talked about, we can't force a parent to accept the recommendation for a referral to early intervention services, but we need to have that meeting and explain to them where we're coming from and potentially get some more information. Because sometimes families were like, I was waiting for somebody else to say that. Maybe they've heard from other members of their family of like, oh, well, do you have concerns about your child? But they were waiting for somebody who wasn't related to them to share that information. And so those first 3 steps all happen within that first 15 days. You've completed those screenings, there's a concern, and you're getting things done, and you're submitting that referral. So step 4 actually becomes the role of the CFC of early intervention, where they then have 45 days from when that referral is submitted to their office for them to schedule an intake with the family and schedule that evaluation and technically to start services. So they have a quick turnaround time. So for early intervention, I'm going to use early intervention and the CFCs kind of interchangeably so that you can also understand, because they have that strict timeline and they have, like, we all have somebody who's monitoring us, right? And early intervention has the state monitoring them, that within 45 days, because they're supposed to reach out to those families, if their families are not responding, are not emailing back, aren't setting up the meetings with the service coordinators, they close those cases because they have to show their documentation. They have to do their due diligence. And if they don't get a response from families, they have to show why, document it, and then close the case. They're also willing to reopen those cases, but just wanted to let you know too, that again, everybody's got somebody watching over them and they have their strict timeline, and they need to adhere to that as well. So that's why it's important for staff to be able to keep prompting families, like, you're going to get a call from an unusual or unfamiliar phone number, please answer those calls. Please have your voicemails set up, please have your your inbox is cleared, things like that. So I wanted to share that. So this is one of the forms. I know it's probably small for those of you, especially maybe in the back. It says procedures for referral to early intervention. I'm not going to read all of this to you. I think we've probably already gone over our time, but this is a way to document those steps. So we talked about, in the previous slide, the different steps to that referral process. This is a form that would stay in the child's disability file, and it has their identifying information. It has the results of the screener. And then this is, I know, super small, but this is your timeline. Within 5 days, this is what happens. Within 15 days, this is what happens. And you're completing this. And this form, this 2-page form, goes through until the child transitions out of early intervention services. But this is your documentation of knowing where you are in the process and what areas of concern, because as Zakia was mentioning, if it is voluntary, if a family says, you know what, I'm not ready to move forward with a referral at this point, you still have that documentation. And this is your only place to have that written, that they are, sorry, I was looking for this information, of what the outcomes of that is. So you have this, this is what I was looking for. If the family, once you have that SRT meeting, so I am going to highlight this as the important part. If the family chooses yes, that they are not moving forward with an evaluation, you're marking no, but this is the only place you have somebody that can sign. The family is signing, like, I'm declining that referral at this time, because we can't sign it electronically, right? So this is our documentation. We all have to document different things. If the family is agreeable to it, they don't need to sign that. You're moving on to the next form, which is this, which looks very similar to the procedures form, but this is that referral form that your teachers or the disability service coordinator or ed coordinator is going to complete and email, fax, if anybody still has the fax, to the CFC centers. So this is that information. You're putting the child's information, child and family's information up top, which CFC it goes to, what area of concerns that you have, and then you're signing it. This is where this gives us permission. And by us, I mean the early intervention team, your 0 to 3 disabilities means gives us the opportunity to communicate with the family, with the CFC, to help move this referral process along. And again, throughout the life of the child's IFSP as well. So there is that release. So that's why it's a referral and a release of authorization. So these are the two important forms for that early intervention referral process. This is our contact information and the particular sites that the 4 of us are responsible for. So, if you were like, oh, I didn't know who you all were and which centers you support, this is a great page. We also included our email addresses, so that is definitely the best way to get into contact with any one of us. Ooh, okay. I don't know if we have time for questions, but yeah. Any questions for the Erickson team? Can we give them a round of applause?
Please see.
Okay, so can everyone hear me?
Yes.
It's okay? Okay, good morning. My name is Gina Casella, and I am with the Chicago Public Schools and the Department of Family and Sports Services, Children's Services Division. I have the unique and distinct honor to be with this collaborative agreement since 2000. So this is our 25th year. That is amazing. Amazing. Well, I'll just give you a little bit of history because I love it. It's my passion and I like to share it. For those of you who remember, for those of you who are newer in the field, back in the late 90s, the powers that be at that time in the city of Chicago in the field of early childhood, Head Start and Chicago Public Schools, came together with the UIC University and they said, you know what would be great if we actually had some employees from Chicago Public Schools go into our community-based funded preschool programs and actually help us identify the children who may need referrals before kindergarten. And actually it'd be awesome if we could have our teachers actually do the developmental screenings so they can be in tune and identifying the children who are at risk. And so it was a wonderful collaboration that started in 2000. I would say back then we were a mighty team of 10. And today, unfortunately, we're a small team of two plus one vacancy. But the work has not stopped. And so we work very closely with you, your programs, your disabilities coordinators, education coordinators, family support workers to do just that. To help you identify children who may have disabilities in your programs and to link those children to Chicago Public Schools for early evaluations and then to receive IEP services if in fact they are eligible. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring Beatrice Nichols into the conversation because I have to give her kudos. She was one of the inspirational people after she was back in the 1990s. So she is still here today, and I tell her every day how amazing it is and what a difference all of you are making for children and families. One thing I also like to talk about is, 30 years ago, and for those of you who have been here since then, do you remember when you would have children in your programs and we couldn't meet the 10% disabilities mandate because we were just struggling to find children with disabilities. And frankly, every year we'd have to apply for a federal waiver. We would say, I'm sorry, we're doing our due diligence. We're out there, we're screening, we're training, and we're just not finding the children. And so it's a mixed bag, right? There's good news that we really have been meeting the 10% disabilities mandate for many years now. But the bad news is what is going on? Why are we seeing 25% of children with disabilities, 39% of children in our program with disabilities? Can we say that yes, we're doing more identification? Yes, of course we are. We know as educators, pediatricians, providers, family members see signs and refer early, but there has to be something more to it, right? And so I always think, I hope that the people that do the research at hospitals and at research institutes are really looking into, and I know we are, what is causing this significant increase in children with developmental delays, with autism and so forth. So we're not there yet, but the work continues. I will say my team is the upper extension of Erickson. So these amazing ladies, all the wonderful things that they shared with you that they do, my team does that as well, but for your Head Start program for 3 and 5. So we will work with your staff on training so they know how to implement the screenings, the Easy 3, the ages and stages, social emotional questionnaires. My team will come in and do observations of children in their classrooms. If you're not sure they need referrals, we will help you understand the referral process and are going to go over that very briefly for you this morning. And then also troubleshooting, linking to services. So your agencies work very hard to make sure that the families get to the evaluation, that they're supported during the evaluation, that your disabilities coordinators are in the meeting, either in person or virtually, right? Being a voice, and that the classroom teacher that's most familiar with the child is actually in that meeting with parent consent. So they can say to this evaluation team, this is what he typically does, or this is not typical today. He's a little off, or he's a little tired, or this is what we're seeing for concerns. And so we have everyone working together to make children to make sure children are evaluated and found eligible for services. And your programs are also making sure that the bus is coming, that they have the current IEP, that if the family moves, they need a new school assignment. So myself, my team, we're here to support your programs in all of those needs. Okay. The memorandum of agreement, I'm sure all of you are aware, this is the formal agreement that was written starting back in 2000 with Chicago Public Schools, DFSS, Children's Services Division. And really it's Head Start driven, because Head Start we know is the gold standard for early childhood, isn't it? Like by all other measures, programs should be achieving the highest quality standard, and Head Start is that for us. And so this memorandum of agreement is based on Head Start standards that says partner with your community providers and ensure that you're serving children with suspected and identified disabilities. Many years ago, DFSS was literally like singly one of the largest grantees in the city of Chicago. And then more recently now we have other Head Start recipients, as you know. So we are at the forefront of the memorandum of agreement with Chicago Public Schools, but we also have other collaborative partners, Educare, now Start Early, Carol Robertson, Chicago Commons, Easter Seals, and HBH. And I know that some of your programs are funded with different funding streams like Preschool for All and so forth. And so that's unique, but know that this is the basis for the memorandum of agreement, our Head Start funding with CPS, okay? I want to give kudos to all of you. As I said years ago, we would be requesting waivers because we couldn't find 10% of children with disabilities to enroll in our programs. Now, look at this. I've removed your delegate agency names, but look at this. 11%, 39% of the children enrolled in that program have a diagnosed disability. Isn't that incredible? It's incredible. 25%, 11%, 17%, 9, almost 10, 20%, 21%. You see my point? So the great news is we're identifying the children, we're recruiting them, we're serving them, and this is a wonderful thing, wonderful thing. So kudos to all of you. As a grantee, we've met the 10% enrollment requirement, as you saw, ending Halloween, October 31st, we're at 13.30% disabilities enrollment. Okay. So your staff are amazing. They're doing wonderful work. Just briefly to talk about the laws that govern disability services for children in preschool. So we know there's the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, also known as IDEA. And what does it say, just in sum? That every child in the United States is entitled to a free, who knows what FAPE stands for? Free and what? Free and appropriate public education, right? So years ago, they didn't have FAPE for kids. They would keep kids at home with grandma. The child wouldn't go to school if they had a disability. And when I say years ago, I mean as recent as the 1960s, 1970s. My mom has a brother who had special needs at that time, and he didn't go to school. He was kept at home, right? So this is really important because now we have laws that protect children. If you have a disability, you have the right to go to school, and your parents don't have to pay refinance the house to get it. It's going to be free, and you're entitled, and it's going to be quality, and it's going to be appropriate. If your child has autism and he's nonverbal, we're not going to put him in a classroom with all children who are nonverbal. We're going to give him an appropriate education, which means he needs to be in a classroom where children are actually talking. Because why? How do children learn to talk? From hearing speech, don't they? From hearing others talk, adults and peers. And so now we do better. Child Find Initiative. How many of you are aware what the Child Find Initiative is? This is part of IDEA. Great. I like to show hands. It means that every state in the United States is responsible for actively screening, locating, referring, and serving children with disabilities. Okay, so not just here in Chicago, Illinois, but San Francisco, Massachusetts, Boston, Massachusetts, every state and every school district is responsible for finding these children, referring them, and serving. And so our programs meet that mandate, Head Start, because what are we doing? What do we do with the children with the EZ3, the ASQ, SE2? Screen them. Right? We screen them. Okay. And then Head Start performance standards. And as we said, Head Start is the gold standard by which all of our preschool programs, Chicago Early Learning, follow demanding. Okay. All right, when we refer for a full evaluation, a lot of families are not sure what this means. They might say, you know, my 5-year-old, he didn't talk, but he's like my 8-year-old. He didn't start talking until he was like 7, right? So sometimes parents aren't aware that children can have developmental concerns that are going to be impacting them. And if they're not addressed early on, as our Erickson colleagues were saying, this can snowball into a disability for a lifetime. So I'll say that as a speech pathologist working in the school 30 years ago, oftentimes I would have teachers, parents come to my door and say, you know, I'm really concerned about my child. He's not talking. Are you worried about anything else? No, he's just not talking. Okay. So sometimes it's the easiest thing for educators, for families to see because it's what? So obvious, right? It's so obvious. He's not speaking. So it's usually one of the first things that we hear parents report and teachers report. But what I will say is there is a reason why speech didn't develop, and that's our job to get to the bottom of it. So by referring these children for an evaluation, we're going to find out, does this child have a hearing impairment? Does this child have a developmental delay and his cognitive skills are not where they should be? So even though he's 4 and we should be able to have an adult-like conversation with him, why is he not talking? Why is he pointing and grunting and pulling on people, right? So we're going to do an evaluation to find out why. All right. So when we refer to CPS for an evaluation, also known as a special education evaluation, and I don't like to use the word special education because again, it triggers some people to think my child doesn't need special ed, you know, my cousin had special ed and it didn't go well, right? So what we say is a full and individual evaluation. And it's going to be in all of these areas. And this is the law, by the way. So we're going to look at the child's cognitive ability, right? We're going to see if he's 4. Is he cognitively 4? Is he cognitively like a 2-year-old? We're going to do a communication assessment. How is he understanding? Can he follow directions? Does he understand questions? Or is he just imitating and echoing what you say? I see a lot of children. What's your name? Name. How are you? You. Right? Or they'll answer inappropriately. What's your name? 5. Right? And you're thinking, oh, he's really not understanding what I'm saying. Okay. Motor skills. We have occupational therapists, physical therapists. If the child is having trouble opening cartons, putting on his clothes, taking his shoes off, we're going to have the occupational therapist look at him, right? See, is that developing for him? And by the way, I often say he. Do you know why I say he so frequently? What do we know statistically about children with disabilities? Right. So there's a higher incidence in males than females, almost 4 to 1, believe it or not. So forgive me when I default to saying he, but the vast majority of children we diagnose are male. And certainly we have females as well, but it's just statistically that's the incidence. Okay. Social emotional development. I'm going to say this is the one I get the most calls about. Is this the one you hear about too? Yeah. What's happening in your centers? And it's like, oh my goodness, he's eloping out of the classroom. He's hitting, crying, tantruming, falling on the floor. Again, this is the most visible thing, right? So this is how you're informed their social emotional concerns. But by referring for an evaluation, we're going to find out why. Is it because there's no consistent routine at home? He's not going to bed. He's staying up all night watching the iPad. Is it because he's seeing it from his siblings? You know what I mean? So we're going to get to the bottom of it. But these are all important red flags and signs that we receive, my team, and that we want you to follow up and go ahead and refer for. Health, a lot of the children we receive referrals for might have asthma, might have allergies, might have seizure disorder. All of this is important. Why? Because it impacts them. It can impact them educationally. We need to know about it. And so that's another area. We have nurses look at that at CPS. Vision and hearing. Why is vision and hearing so important for our early childhood students? Absolutely. Did you know that hearing is foundational for speech and language development, and that a lot of times children 5 and under have frequent ear infections, whether we know it or not? A lot of times these children don't have fever, so parents don't even know. They're like, you know, even my daughter, I brought her in as an infant. I'm like, she slept 4 hours at nap. Isn't that great? And the doctor's like, no, that means she's got an infection. And he certainly told me she has bilateral hearing infection right now. Ear infection. I didn't know she had no fever. But the problem is it's one of the #1 causes of speech to language delay in children. And if we don't know it, we miss it. And then guess what? Children are at risk for speech and language delays because they have recurrent ear infections. And guess what speech and language delay puts them at risk for? Reading and writing failure. And I hate to use the word failure, but it's just the honest to God truth. And so if you didn't catch it, now it's snowballing, right? Now I have hearing loss, I have speech delay. Now I'm in kindergarten. I don't understand the sound letter matches. I don't know what you mean about how many claps, how many sounds, and it's going to continue on for a lifetime. We're talking about lifetime impact. All right. So when we refer to CPS for a special education evaluation, we're trying to determine if the child has an educational disability that adversely impacts their academic performance. So sometimes you might tell me you have a nephew, a niece, a son, a child who has autism, and he might be very gifted and very bright, and he may not need special education services because you don't get special education services based on a label. You get it based on your need. And so in order to get an IEP at Chicago Public Schools, yes, you have to have a category of disabilities like autism, speech and language impairment, cognitive impairment, hearing impairment, visual impairment, right? But there has to be a negative effect on your education in order to qualify. So I hope that makes sense. All right, next slide. All right, just very briefly, we know that our programs were administering the developmental screening. We know that we were supposed to make prompt referrals as soon as the need is evident. We also have to provide support while we're awaiting evaluations for those children. And then what happens when they're found ineligible? Then we're like, okay, what's next? They didn't get an IEP. We still have to individualize and support them. Right? And then we also maintain our 10% disabilities enrollment requirement. Okay. I could read this to you, but I won't. It's just saying that why special education is important in preschool, and it's saying that it's tailored to exactly what that child needs. So if he's having fine motor problems, he's going to work with the OT. They're going to develop his hand strength, and the OT is going to show him exactly how he should be using utensils, exactly how he should be opening things. It's almost like rehab, but it's not for preschoolers because it's the first time that they're doing it. Trained professionals, you want the experts, right? You don't want me to tell you how to work with a child with fine motor. That's not my experience, but you want the occupational therapist, right? Socialization. We could talk more about how Head Start is the least restrictive environment, and that's why we have children with disabilities in our program because it is so important for their learning. And then also special education, they can do adaptive curriculum, adaptive instruction, where they modify things for children, right? And we do this at Head Start too. Okay, so I'll say that these elements contribute to a nurturing and inclusive preschool environment where children can thrive and reach their full potential. Special education ensures that children with special needs have the opportunity to learn and grow alongside their peers, fostering a sense of belonging and acceptance. And if you don't remember anything else from today, I want you to remember this. Why do we do it? Why do we identify, screen, refer, and evaluate children with disabilities? Next slide. Thank you. Because NACI tells us inclusion works. Research shows that it benefits children with and without disabilities. So did you know that having children with disabilities in our program actually is helpful to the children who we call non-disabled, that they actually score higher on empathy and compassion than children who don't have children with disabilities in their classroom? So isn't that a wonderful lifetime skill? Do you know that children with disabilities are in inclusive classrooms, like our Head Starts, they have reduced autism severity? Did you know? Isn't that amazing? Right? Remember when I was saying we don't put that child in the classroom where all the children are nonverbal over here, goes there? No, you put him in the classroom where the kids are talking, and guess what? He's going to rise to the occasion. He's going to start talking. Okay? For children with severe disabilities, they have increased language development and increased social skills, because guess what? How do kids learn best? From play and from working with each other, right? They see each other. Oh, that's how you do it. You tell the teacher, I have to go to the bathroom, or I want more. So they learn from each other. Inclusive classrooms score higher on measures of quality. And so overall, everyone benefits when we have inclusion. Okay, I know I don't have much time left. I'll just go through. Why do we refer, or how do we refer? There's many reasons. The screenings obviously are one. And it's really important for your program to go through page by page with a fine-tooth comb, because in doing so, you're going to catch things, right? Oh, I just noticed mom wrote he does something over and over again and he won't stop. That's like a red flag for me, and I'm gonna ask more questions. The child assessments, right? You're looking, oh, this child is not scoring in widely held expectations in all of these domains. We're worried. Professional observations, it could be the teacher, the mental health provider, can be education and disabilities coordinators. Could be someone like myself, an education or disabilities me, yourself, grantee, site directors. Anybody can really observe and make concerns and express concerns. But sometimes parents ask for it, don't they? Yeah. We have parents that are overly concerned. I'm so worried, and they shouldn't be. And then we have parents who are under concerned. They should be worried, and they're not worried, right? Outside professional evals, we get referrals from DCFS, get referrals from child plan, and doctors, right, on physicals, ED, evaluation of speech, autism. So it's really important your staff is looking at the physicals because they'll find things that maybe the parents aren't going to share with you. Okay. And then lastly, the history of EI services and the children were not transitioned. So many reasons for referral. This is just a flow chart. Your programs, your teachers have been trained on it. It's like how, when you're screening a child, what to do next. If they score refer, do this, rescreen, do this. Okay, so that's helpful. Same thing here for the ages and stages, social, emotional. It's important to look at the teacher and parent. Are they on the same page? Teachers really worried, parents not. Sometimes we see opposite. But basically, this is to say we follow up on all of the screenings and we make referrals when indicated. This is a flow chart that we train your teachers and staff on, that next steps when the child scores refer and parent doesn't want it. So that's helpful. And all of these forms are electronic, and your staff should have them. I didn't bring a lot of copies today. I think we have one for each table, but if you can just take a look, you can, just to get a handle on like what the forms are when we make a referral. It's pretty comprehensive and, you know, there's a lot of documentation, but it really is critical and it really is important. Okay. So I'm going to tell you just very briefly, when we refer a child, and again, if you want to take a look and just, I can make sure you get the forms, we'll email them to you, but your staff should have them. The first thing we do before we make a referral is we have an internal staff meeting. So we get everyone on the same page, right? Because we don't want the family support worker saying one thing and the teacher saying something different. So everybody comes together before we ever invite the parent in and we have a conversation. We sit down with all the records. We have the health folder, we have the ed folder, we have the disabilities folder, right? We say this is his first school experience. He has asthma. The family moved 3 times in the last 6 months, right? So we do our due diligence, put all of our information together. And then we invite the family in. We have what we call the screening review team meeting where we go over with the parents. This is the time where you decide who's going to be the voice for this process. Perhaps the parent has a closer relationship with one teacher versus another. Perhaps they will hear it better from the family support worker, but you have a united front and you're all coming at the parent to share the same message. You know, we start with a positive. We have concerns about, you know, he's a wonderful child. He's so bright. He's so friendly. He's so verbal. We do some screenings and we have some concerns and we want to talk with you about those. We want to ask you what you're seeing at home. So get the parent input. If in fact the parent agrees to proceed with the referral to Chicago Public Schools, you're going to start a referral packet, and that's the top of the checklist where all of the documentation needs to be compiled. Okay. You're going to your program scan and email that packet to me, and I will literally go through with a fine-tooth comb and look for all of those signs, right? He keeps doing things over and over again. He is flapping his hands when he's excited. He's an extremely picky eater. He won't eat anything at the program except fruit. You see what I'm saying? So I'm looking for things that are flags and then letting me know he needs to see an occupational therapist. He might need a feeding evaluation. He might need a speech evaluation. He might need a cognitive evaluation. Okay, so the packet comes to me. I review it. If it all looks good, I'm going to send it on. And then my administrative assistant, Marisol Calde, will register the child, upload that information into the system, and know this, that stays there forever. And the child's educational record, I used to say till 18, but I'll be honest with you, I've seen people who are 35 years old still in CPS with records, okay? So that information is up there forever. We want it to be legit. We want it to be accurate. And then Marisol, our schedule is going to call the family by phone and say, hi, Gina, thank you. We have Ava's referral. We want to schedule a time for you to come to us, bring Ava with, and we'll do this evaluation. Okay. The beautiful thing is your support staff, your disabilities coordinators, teachers are invited to that evaluation with parent consent. They can either go physically with the child and the parent, or they can participate virtually, which is really cool, right? Because it's super easy to jump on from the center. Right? The next thing is we schedule the appointment, okay, and then we're going to email the information to the family. Here's the invitation, Gina, bring Ava to this location on Monday at this time, and we'll have a whole team do the evaluation. The beautiful thing about this is it's streamlined, and I'm finishing up, all in one day. Years ago, you had to go to the school with a folder, hope the case manager was there, hope the clerk was nice, hope that they would see you. And then you have to go multiple times with the family, and it just really impacted the process and the outcome. It's one-stop shopping. They bring the child, the parent, they sit down, they do the whole evaluation, they do the whole eligibility, they write an IEP. Okay. And then finally, we always tell parents their consent is required every step of the way. You know, parents get nervous when we want to do things with children. By all means, many of us are parents, right? Or all of us have children in our family. Parent, you're not sure you want to pursue with this, that's fine. You know, you can take time, you want to sign, we'll do this. We're not going to write an IEP unless you want one. Do you want an IEP? Okay. Now you have an IEP. Do you want a placement? Do you want to activate it? No, that's okay, right? So parents are ultimately the decision. Okay, next. All right. These are just some of the forms that you'll see. This is not a mystery. There's a checklist, procedures for referral to CPS, and it's going to walk your staff through line by line. Here's what you do next. This is what you do next. Okay. Right. Keep going. One important thing, and I just say this last. When we refer, we usually see at least 75% or greater kids come back eligible, right? Does that mean that 25% of kids didn't need it? Not necessarily. They could still be delayed, right? They could still be having social emotional issues. They can still be speech issues. They can still be having cognitive concerns, but maybe it's not at the level in which they're qualifying today, right? So CPS by law cannot say a child has a disability if in fact they didn't have sufficient language exposure, right? Child's been home with grandma who only speaks Spanish. Now he's speaking English in the classroom, but we're going to say he's delayed in English? No, right? We have to consider exposure. Is this the first time he's been in school? Is he a new 3, right? And so we're never going to diagnose a child with a disability if in fact it is environmental. So just keep that in mind. And my director is a very big advocate for that, right, B? When I say he can't walk up and down the stairs without, you know, going sideways. And she's like, and does he have stairs at home? Did he ever have stairs before? So she keeps me honest, right? We're not going to call him disabled when he hasn't had that exposure. Okay. All right. Last thing, timeliness. We're not waiting months to refer this child. As soon as the need is evident, you're going to start the process. Get the wheels in motion. Okay. The forms, any of you want forms, we can email them to you. More forms, the parent consent, educational rights. We're responsible for letting parents know what their rights are. So your staff should be giving them their rights at that meeting. There's our checklist for the referral packet. Teacher report is really important. And then consent for the parent to invite the staff to participate in the evaluation. So that was a lot. Thank you for Laura, please. Thank you. Sending me the packet. Some things happen and the things get sent back. The child doesn't have a physical or the screening was on the wrong form. But by and large, it's all very well done. Your staff are doing an excellent job. And just last thing, we have 3 locations in the city of Chicago where evaluations are done. And it's based on the home address of the family. Unfortunately, we don't really have a north side location. We just have Washington and Madison. Fairfield and Haskell are really close to each other. And then Coleman right here on the 47th and State. But what we say is families won't mind coming one place one time. It's not like they have to go there every day forever. So any questions? I took more time than I should have, but I'm sure that I covered everything that I hoped. Yes.
school. Referral. And so we'll receive its prices there on this. Setting up pricing for others as farm, teacher harm, others working hard. If they need our by results, we know what to do. So am I free to the choir? Or you got to see that in your recovery? Right, so look here, those even, what are the things that are options for the program? Which you have to move that are.
Sure. So definitely there are resources for you. And I hear you. Every day I get a call about this very thing, a lot of social emotional issues and hurting himself or others or, but you're not alone. So if you're Head Start, you have a mental health provider, right? And so I would really rely on that mental health provider as your first line of defense, right? Contact them, have them come out, ask to do a classroom observation. And then really, there's not a magic like ticket or magic bullet, but you're going to have that internal staff and you're like, what is going on with this child? What's happening at home, you know? And you kind of figure out, is there consistency at home? Who's caring for the child? What are they seeing? How are they sleeping? I'm not kidding you. Sometimes I get social emotional referrals and they're like, well, he has a hard time falling asleep, so we'd let him have the iPad. And then they're like, oh, but you know, he doesn't sleep at night, so he sometimes wakes up and plays with the iPad at night. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. You know what I'm saying? This is one example of you really have to dig in and figure out what is going on with this child and his world that he's presenting like this. And then in fact, a lot of the children that have social emotional issues, there may be an underlying like developmental delay or disability there. But because the behavior is so visible, that's the only thing you're hearing about, right? So I'll give you an example. The other day I had a child I went to observe, and when I got there, he's pretty much nonverbal, you know? So he's hitting and striking and pulling because why? He's not using words, right? So he's going to regress or be at a lower level. So even though he's 3 or 4, he's acting like he's 18 months maybe or younger. So that's to say, I don't have a quick answer for you, but you've got the mental health provider. You have me, just one of me, but I'm happy to have ARCAD. Where's that UIC person? ARCAD. Oh my God, they are so amazing, right? With their visual supports training. Children with autism.
It's like, it's a kid that they're really advice. It's something that presents itself
Mhm.
a lot, but it's like they're going through it at the moment, like what are the problem that, because you know, be careful too about restraining, right? Like at that point, they like the child that might compel, like being able to calm down.
Right.
So these are some of the things that I'm hearing as, you know, as I'm here in my space where I'm at, and so, you know, just want to make sure that the partner sites that I support have all the things they have. Some people are like, oh, she's not sad, and we do this. You know, to be honest, I'm trying to figure it all out.
Yes, the answer. Yeah.
But then in the, I'm talking about right in there when somebody called the constant health, like what?
Right, and I agree, and then Sheree will say more from the FSS standpoint, but I want to say you have to have your education coordinator look at the learning environment, because let me give you an example. Do you know what I see a lot when I go into your programs? The child has difficulty transitioning, they give the child no warning, so all of it, oh, it's, and the kid like, right? But I say, oh my goodness, if they would say 2 more minutes playtime, then it's all done, and then go over to the child with a visual, like this, we're gonna go do do a cleanup, you know, outside, right? So you have to support that child and letting know what's coming next, right? I took my daughter to swim lessons. I'll just say there was a child with autism in the pool and they didn't prep him for it. And they're like, oh, swim's over. And he just had the biggest meltdown trying to get out of that pool, right? And I was like, oh, if they could just have prepared him, like, here's a visual, one more time, one more splash, and then we're gonna go. They would save themselves so much more drama, yeah? Carrie, do you want to?
One more question. I have one question. Right now, our site is 60%. Gives them detailed students. And then we have 1 Spanish speaking teachers.
Mhm.
And so it's taking us forever to see actions because really, well, that's up to 80%. It's actually 80%. Any suggestions? We only have 1 person.
Wow. Okay, so,
So I don't, nobody else speaks.
right.
So she's trying to, she's one teacher, she's missing.
Oh, Okay, let me repeat the question. So she was saying at her program, they only have one person that speaks Spanish. And they have a high number of children that are English as their second language, their primary Spanish. So when it comes to screening, they're really relying on this one person to screen. How many kids?
60.
60 of them.
She's working. That's not there with her. Checks on back. I don't have any support. Not here. There's some Spanish speaking teachers in my Mercury 3 program, but they're not trained to do that. So I can't have them come over.
What suggestions do we have?
That one is. Uh,
So your program may not be the only program that has that type of situation or circumstance. What we would have to do is look at the program to see what supports can be provided. It does depend on funding, because as Gina mentioned, there are some supports for federal programs, there are supports for non-federal or state programs. So I need the team to make a note. This is It Takes a Village. We've heard from A to S. I saw a couple of other hands that went up. Hey, Ms. Cole. So we will have to follow up with the programs related to it, because each program may have an individual or nuanced situation that we would have to work with you to develop a path forward or a system of support. So I'm tasking the team to make note so that we can follow up with you. And if there are other programs that have a similar situation or would like some additional support or have questions related to Gina's presentation, can we give her a hand clap, please? Because that was great information. We can definitely follow up so that we can provide some additional supports. I also encourage everyone in this room to pay attention to the CSD alerts. Though this information is very beneficial, it's not new. It often circulates in our CSD updates as well as alerts. But we do encourage programs to let us know what supports you need. No one said this, but I'm going to say it for you. Why are we doing this? What's going on with all these presentations? Why? Is this what's happening? This what we're doing now? Well, for those who didn't say it, but I read your mind, our goal, our goal for this program year and moving forward is we are trying to structure I'm glad I could talk loud. Trying to structure our EDPD meetings to be more interactive. A lot of this information is not new to your staff that are at your sites. We are working with your teams and your staff, but what we're finding is that as an executive leader, program director, sometimes when it comes to more hands-on training or just information related to the services that we provide, you may not know about the updates or you may not heard about them recently. So our EDPD meetings, though we will talk the normal agenda where Rachel will come up and address you guys. Angel and I, our fiscal team, we will all come up to address you all about what's happening at a higher level. But we're also bringing in presentations from our fantastic vendors and partners, just so you're aware of what's been happening as it relates to ECE. Sometimes it'll be a focus on federal. Sometimes it'll be a focus on state. Sometimes it'll be a blend of both. So we're just trying to lay the foundation. I do not want anyone in this room to say, oh, they just present stuff. I don't have to go to EDPD. Oh, yes, you do. Please stay. Our goal, and I was just talking to Jocelyn about it, our goal is to ensure that we respect your time because we know that you have organizations to run, but we are also trying to structure this in a way so that you get the information from our vendors and partners, but also get the information that we really need to talk about from a DFSS lens. Okay, so I just wanted to lay that foundation. Thank you. Okay. So we have about 30 minutes left. Again, I thank each of our presenters who joined us today, UIC, Erickson, as well as Gina representing the small yet mighty team at CPS Disabilities. We're going to dive into the presentation. So Rachel is not in the room right now. Oftentimes as a deputy, she's pulled and summoned because we work for the city. So she is not in the room at the moment. So I will be reviewing her slides on her behalf. Please keep in mind, I am not Sareko. So if I give you a, we're gonna write it down, right? I'm just the messenger, because again, I am not the deputy. I'm just representing her. Angel is also in the back of the room there, and also she too, she gave herself a resounding round of applause. Uh, she is also not our deputy, but we will try our very best as the two managers of this division to provide any clarity if any questions come up. So, on the behalf of Sareka Burgess Burnett as our deputy commissioner, she wanted to give you guys an update regarding all of these things that are on your slide. So, federal shutdown update. No more shutdown. Aren't we happy about that? Hooray! Great. Bullets 1 and 2 go together. So now that the government is no longer shut down, that means that our grant applications, those of you who are funded federally by DFSS, our grant applications are now moving once again. Our grant period is supposed to start December 1. So immediately once the government shutdown was lifted, we immediately heard from our regional specialist team in which they were asking questions and getting clarity on our grant applications. We are crossing our fingers and our toes that we will receive our notices of awards within the next week or so. So we just wanted to give you that update. Right now, there's nothing needed from programs. Again, cross your fingers and your toes. If we have not reached out to you asking for additional information, that means that we good, we cool. You don't need nothing right now. Everything that they're asking clarity on is from our lens as a recipient, but we'll keep you posted with any additional updates. With that being said, the feds are also saying, we're back. Yeah, guess what? We're coming in for FA1, right? Meaning that they will be doing a program systems review. We will be circulating to those who are federally funded by us protocol that was shared to us from Office of Head Start related to this FA1. For those that know, FA1 is typically the type of review where we talk about our systems. We talk about how good it works, how, we are working through areas of improvement. It's a good talk, and I love that. FA2 is where they say, show it to me, so we're not in FA2. That's great, right? But they are changing it a little bit this time. They made an update that though we're talking about it, they will be asking us as a recipient for a small subset of data. So it's a blend between talking about it and showing it. So we're just getting ready for that. There are some programs who may have gone through FA1s or FA2s. For some programs, they have been pushed back because of the shutdown. So they're kind of behind the 8 ball right now. So we'll keep you guys posted. We don't have a date just yet, but we do foresee it coming in the very near future. Those of you who are funded by ECBG, PSAPI, CPS monitoring is going. It's moving ahead. Just to remind everyone in this room, there were 15 agencies who were identified to be a part of the review. Phase 1 was our larger agencies. They've gone through it. We're expecting to have reports from CPS by December related to how those reviews went. We're hearing that those reports will be coming to DFSS. We may not send them, they may not send them direct to programs. We might get the report first. So we'll keep you posted if and when we get those reports. Those who are in the second pool, phase 2, dubbed as our medium agencies, they're going through monitoring right now. We have some programs who have CPS in their houses this week. You have some of you who CPS is coming next week. Well, not next week, it's Thanksgiving. The following week, in the month of December, right? And then those who are in the third pool, labeled as small, they will be reaching out to schedule time to come on site to talk through all types of things related to CPS monitoring. What we've heard is that they are taking a look at your financials. They're looking at program information. They're looking at staffing in classrooms, children rosters, things of that nature. So just ensure that, of course, your normal day-to-day is up to par. This is not new, but our team, our monitors here at DFSS have been on site and supporting you guys. So we will continue to do so as we normally do. 60, she said, no, this is for Sareka bullet. 60 years and nowhere for it to go. So okay, I think, let me use Sareka. Because she typed that bullet when the government was still shut down. Let me get in character. I know she was still upset. She was upset, y'all. Because all that's happening with our federal government, all of the downplay of what Head Start means, what Head Start stands for, how Head Start supports and does everything. But beyond Head Start, early learning period, it is like a total derailment of where we have been, where we're trying to go. And she was mad. So you see all them exclamation points. She was upset. I'm surprised she didn't bold it and put it in all caps, right? So she was just saying that even though those who may be leading our great nation may not agree with us, she needs each and every last one of us. She needs each and every last one of your staff to stay in this good fight, because it is not unknown to us that you guys are doing a fantastic job of running and supporting programs for our most vulnerable populations. So I just wanted to uplift you all, give yourselves a round of applause. Keep doing it. You're doing great. Even though we monitor you, we come in and say, hey, Amina. We don't say it like that. I'm just using this as an example. Amina, what are you doing? We don't say it like that, but we come in to say, hey, come on now, we got to get this together. This is what the standard says. This is what we need to do. Though we do that, we're doing that just so when it comes to when someone like CPS or Office of Head Start comes into your program, they can see how stellar you are, because we don't highlight the negatives or something that may not have been right today. Holistically, what does the program look like? Quality programming. That's what we say. So we want to make sure that we're all speaking the same language. So that's what that book looks. I don't know if I want to say this one, but she said she out next week. She said she out next week. And I say that because just like she said she was going to be at EDPD today, she's not in this room right now. I'm crossing my fingers. Angela and I both are saying, because I'm in Johnson too, we all say like, man, Deputy, you need a break. So we want her to be out, right? But she says she's going to be out next week. So that means that Angela and I are in charge. So that means we won't be out next week. Happy Thanksgiving. But she just wanted to let you all know, we do, Jocelyn still monitors her email, even though Jocelyn is now the data supervisor. As we often do, we all wear many hats. So we will be supporting Sareka while she's out of the office. But if you guys need anything, please reach out to Angel and I, Jocelyn, so that we can help you with any of your needs. She also wanted to make mention of our federal enrollment, of where we are, 93% for Head Start, 88 for Early Head Start, 62 for CCP. We know that because CCP is the one we're going through the change of scope for. So we're working through a reduction of numbers there to increase the cost per child. And we're at 86% for expansion. Wanted to applaud you guys for that, because across the board, we know that there are some struggles, especially with what's happening in the city of Chicago. I don't have to say specifics, but it's just a lot. You know, they say COVID gone, but it ain't, I'll just leave it at COVID. But yeah. So we just wanted to encourage programs, continue to get your enrollment and attendance up and in. The team will be gently stalking you to ensure that your numbers are there. But if you have any questions, just let us know. Oh, this is me, so I can stop being Sareka. Were there any questions for Sareka? Write them down, so I can answer. Go ahead. Yes, hey, Nina. Say that one more time. Any supplemental grants for facilities? Angel's in the back. So she is the gatekeeper of supplemental funds. Yes. There is no supplemental for PFAPI. Supplemental has existed for federal programs. I'm not sure if we have any available for federal. Since we're so close to being awarded, we probably don't have any more in our current grant cycle, which ends Monday, Sunday, one of them days, upcoming. So I think the answer is no for that. But once we get our new notice of award, the bucket will be full again, and we can talk to Angel about what's available. I was able to answer that. Okay, yes. Okay, Kiki. Angel, she asked about the RFP. So sorry, my face wasn't for you. Because I love you. The RFP, we do not have any updates on the RFP just yet. We are hopeful that we will have it. I know that we've been saying this all of 2025, but at the end of 2025. We are anticipating an RFP. We do not have any updates related to the RFP. My gut is telling me that's probably where our deputy is, to talk through all things funding, not just on the state or federal side. It's everything holistically in terms of what's happening with funding, but we have no updates related to the RFP, which means that those who are currently funded by DFSS are still funded. If there are any entities that are interested in additional funding that they do not currently have, you will have to wait until that additional guidance comes from us to advise how you can go about applying for funding, but there is no RFP launched just yet and no definitive date for it. Thank you for lifting that. I saw another hand. Go ahead, Greg. Hi.
Talking about number numbers that we saw over the last year, we made a number of other possibilities available for full enrollment. So we changed the our eligibility requirements to take up to 35% of the kids, up to 130%. And you think, okay, so we made a change to the eligibility requirements in CEL to align with the Fed, so you can take up to 35% of the population be children up to 130% of federal poverty. You've always had the ability to take up to 10% of the kids as over income. And we've made available the worksheet on housing costs so that anything above 30% of a family's income that goes towards housing can be crossed off and not counted towards the rate. Okay, so I'm mentioning these things because they're not just opportunities that are being afforded you. You need to use them. So if you are an agency that has federal funding through DFSS and you also have state funding and you have children enrolled in state funding and you are not fully enrolled in federal funding, you need to look at those kids and see if you can show that they are eligible using housing costs, using the 130%, using the 10%. And so you shouldn't have DFA only children in a program that is not fully enrolled in Head Start. It does not have 10% over income used yet. It hasn't used any of the 130% slots. So rather than hold those slots open to try to recruit new children, if you have children, you need to look at all of them and make sure that they are not eligible. If they are eligible, you need to enroll them, because if we don't reach our full enrollment, we are going to lose the funding for those slots. All right, so yes. It does, yes. I don't have anything outstanding. I don't have any requests that I'm aware of that I have not approved. I went through all of the tickets that I had and I moved them all out. So if there are cases that you guys need approved, you're gonna send them to me. And I honestly, I really mean today, just because I'm not sure, my whole schedule isn't worked out yet, but I'm not sure I'll be at work to focus on the first. So if we want to count these kids for November enrollment, I really need them this afternoon, okay? Thank you.
Throw it out. So along that vein, Senator Craig and Senator Johnson. So again, me and Angela are in the office next week, okay? Yes, we know how to count. He dropping gems, y'all. Work with him. We're trying to help you get that full enrollment and utilize funding. Yes, we will work with you guys because we're looking at it too. We will be gently stalking as it relates to this. Okay. My slide is just talking about, so was it last EDPD or the EDPD before that? Angel was walking through it like, you get a corrective action plan. You get a corrective. I just wanted to bring this back up again. Just because we're stating that you're on corrective action doesn't mean it's bad. If you have been monitored by DFSS, that is corrective action. I just want to reiterate that for this room. Anytime that we give you a site verification form, CSD monitoring report, anything of that nature is corrective action. There are some programs who are going on advanced corrective action just due to what's happening in sites. You're not the only one. So I just wanted to lift it that, it's not Jocelyn's daycare. She's the only one who's on a cap. Her. No, it's not just her. All of us are on corrective action because we are supporting all of you to ensure that you are correcting what's needed for quality programming. I just wanted to lift that, okay? It is a true partnership. That's why I said this is our role in this process. We will walk alongside with you through this corrective action process. We will schedule meetings internally. We will also schedule meetings with you. We will give you definitive times to fix these things. We're trying to change the culture where things are just lingering and lingering and lingering. And then 7 years later, we still talking about Johnson's daycare don't have X, Y, and Z. We got to stop that, right? We are walking alongside you to ensure that corrections are taking place. Next slide. How many of you were working along with me back in 2022 to 2024 to support homeless families who are in shelter? We thank you. Yay. Guess what? We're back at it. One System Initiative, we have officially formed our collaboration with the FSS Homeless Services Division. How many of you currently have received an email, be it from Bria Carter, Kim N, what is Kim N? Kim, Kim on our team. Have you received emails asking if you guys want to come on site to shelter?
Yes.
Have you replied to those emails?
Yes.
We thank you because we are working to support homeless families because we know homeless families are categorically eligible. We have 23 shelters who are under the One System Initiative hosting or holding families. Of those shelters, we have 9 engaged. We have 12 agencies who are engaged, so we thank you for that. As of the 13th of November, we had 1 event scheduled, but we have many more now. So this is just a lift. What number is that? 4? Sorry, it was just like real quick. So we have 4 events scheduled, which is good. We slowly moving the needle, but we moving it. That's what I like. Okay. So I just want to let you guys know that if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Yes. It would have gone to, so for instance, for El Valor, we need to confirm who the email went to. Okay, so we can do that. Kim and Bria are right there between the 2 black doors. Kim and Bria. Kim has on like brown, I think. Bria has on black. So yes, when in doubt, we can figure it out right over there in that corner. I like that too. Yeah, I like that. I'm dropping bars. Okay. Clear done.
Hey, this is going to be a little bit of a quick update, but I'm Ken McGee with Claridine, and I wanted to give you really 4 updates. One is that the health and safety module for 2025-2026 is going to go live on November the 28th. All staff, all of your folks who completed the module in 2024, 2025, they will be automatically enrolled. So they won't need to re-enroll or re-register. They'll be automatically enrolled. They'll get an email saying you are enrolled. There will be bus evacuation lessons there, as well as accidents versus incidents. And also, there's also a lesson on background checks too. So that's sort of new things that are going to be there. Number 2, you should have gotten an email this week about the email transformation project for ECBG agencies. Some of you have responded already. Thank you for doing that. If you have not yet, you can reply to that email. There'll also be a form coming out that you can also use as well, which would actually help us out a little bit. But please, if you do respond saying that you have your own domain, include not only your staff's email addresses, but also their names and their roles as well. Okay. So that's update number 2. Update number 3 is that the fiscal community of practice is going to happen tomorrow at 1 p.m. So please encourage your fiscal and administrative staff to attend. Standing every month meeting. And then the last thing from the finance department is that there is going to be a non-federal match webinar on December 5th at 1 p.m. And the registration email should be going out for that today. Okay. Any questions about anything that I said right now? Any questions? Okay, thanks, everybody.
Bringing up our director, Sharon Davis. Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Davis. I'm going to be very quickly to run through the financials. So for FY 25, we should be at 92% expenditure. Head Start, we're at 64%. Early Head Start, 65%. CCP at 53%. Expansion at 68%. And for the state programs, we should actually be at 33%. We had some delays with getting those grants baseline. And so ECBG is at 17%, CCAP is at 8%. And for the FY 25 program, all of your invoices should be submitted by 10/31 through October 31st. All of those invoices should be submitted at this time. And also all of your remaining in-kind reports for the entire budget period are due on December 10th. And for your FY 26 base program running from December 1st through November 30th, your program has started. The award letters have gone out. We will be sending out those allocation sheets. If you have not gotten yours yet, they will be on the way soon. Also, for the base program, we also have a 2% bonus, and that is only for 1 month, which is for December 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Please check your emails for all notifications coming from us. Those emails were coming from the EHS grant app, so please check all emails. And also for FY 26, please note all federally funded programs are required to report non-federal share. So as Ken mentioned, there will be a non-federal match training coming up on December 5th. I forgot to add this as a note here. So please check your email from that. That email should be coming from Sale Income. So if you see that email, that is us notifying you of your non-federal match. And going forth throughout the year, you will receive emails from Sale Income as well. And so for state programs, childcare, please make sure that you're tracking your attendance and eligibility and submitting all of your invoices and billings. And for the PIPFA program, please also check for your budget revisions. If you need to submit those, please do so and submit your COLA worksheets along with your invoices. General information, please make sure to try to attend the invoice trainings every month as they provide those, and please report to them any issues that you're having with iSupplier. They provide a general training, but you can also use that as a platform to express any issues that you're having so that they can interpret that to the developers. Also, our contacts for the finance team for the CCP expansion and corporate programs, Laverne Coleman. Head Start and Early Head Start is Teresa Lopez. Childcare, Selena Rowan. PFA is Cassandra Molina. And also as a backup for her, we also have Laverne Coleman and Teresa Lopez. Does anyone have any questions? Also, one more thing too, we will be having a general budget training coming up. Look out for information for that. It's going to be very basic for those who are new to the forum itself. That should be coming up before the end of December. We'll keep it posted. Thank you all so much. Made it. Got 2 minutes to spare. Look at this. We ran through that. I can officially say, are there any questions before we adjourn? That maybe I Agencies, don't forget to get your envelopes at the back table. We thank you so much for joining us and toughing it out. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday and break. We thank you all for all that you do. Have a great rest of your day.